Hi, I'm Gabby, and welcome to this channel. I'm so happy you found your way here. And I wanted to take this moment or this opportunity to just speak a little bit about me and my history and background because I know that if you are here, there is most likely things that we have in common. Maybe there are things from my path, my story that light something up for you. And I also want to speak a little bit why I created this channel and what I want to bring out into this world. So I'm someone who comes from a very rational background. I grew up in a doctor's family and I was a typical good girl with really good grades in school. I was the big sister. I have two younger sisters. And then I went into studying engineering. I always loved adventure. I always loved meeting new people, traveling to new countries. So I have beautiful opportunities to study abroad. I worked abroad. And then eventually I landed in the big corporate world. So I worked for many years within supply chain in some of the world's biggest fast-moving consumer goods companies. I worked for Procter & Gamble, Unilever. Um, I worked within Coca-Cola. And everything was, great in so many ways. I lived my life. I was running. I was very focused on the future. I was very focused on where I was heading. And when I found myself at a point in my life where I kind of thought that I had everything, I had a wonderful, blooming career, I had a partner, two wonderful children, I was living in a magnificent house by the ocean. And I was at this point where I was like, now I should be so, so, so happy. But I found myself feeling quite lost and quite empty on the inside. I had been running so hard, so intensely, so focused forward. I didn't really know who I was anymore. I was very attached to the different roles. And from the outside, of course, my life looked amazing and perfect. But on the inside, it was different. And eventually, we separated, and that really, of course, that was like jumping out of a cliff. I jumped into the unknown and I started searching for myself. And this was in 2016, so it's a while ago. And I went into personal development. I started reading so many books. I took courses, and it was like I was just searching and searching for answers. And I loved reading all these books and taking in all this information. I'm really good at taking in information. I studied engineering, so taking in information is something that I've been really, really good at, and theorizing and so on. But what I realized was I was learning so much and I was very inspired, but things didn't really change. Um, no, I was still putting a lot of my identity into my work. And yeah, I guess it's the way life happens, right? When you look back, you can always connect the dots. But at the time, it wasn't very clear. So I kept on pushing. I was working really hard. I was trying to keep everything together. And I was, I guess, avoiding my emotions quite a lot. I was very much in my head, like I was totally in my head. And I had been struggling with asthma since the year of 2000. So I was on medication since then, and I was getting more and more sick. So I had long episodes of being really sick in my lungs. I was taking a lot of medication, a lot of antibiotics and cortisone. And this just escalated. Like I was getting sick maybe every 2 to 3 months. So I often felt like I was just getting out again and getting out up to the surface again, maybe being able to go for a more frisky walk or going to the gym. And then I got sick again. And then there was a whole new spiral. And I really, well, I would say it's a strong word, but I really didn't like my body. Like I was at war with it in many ways. I didn't trust it. It made me extremely frustrated when I was sick. Like I and I and I kind of overran it. And this was, of course, before COVID. So I kept working. I mean, I could be coughing like crazy. I would sit in these meetings, I would almost cough my lungs up, but I would still be working and pushing forward. And this kept going until October 2018. That's when it totally crashed. And I ended up in the emergency room in the hospital. I had been sick for a couple of weeks. I had been on antibiotics and cortisone, and I couldn't sleep. So I was taking sleeping pills, and like my body was so stressed up. And I went to the hospital because I had such a high pulse and it didn't go down and my heart was pounding. So, I called the phone number. They told me I need to get to the hospital. And once I was in the hospital, after about an hour in the waiting room, I experienced a chemically triggered panic attack, which was one of the most scariest things I've ever experienced. I thought that was the end. Yeah, my heart raced. I couldn't breathe. I was having these muscle spasms, like my arms were waving, my legs, like it was absolutely crazy. And I thought it was the last moment. And fortunately, it wasn't. But for me, it was a real wake up call because I realized that something was so deeply wrong. I was quite young. I was 42 years old. I didn't look sick, right, from the outside, but something was deeply wrong. And I decided that I needed to try to turn things around. So I started looking for more answers and I really got into holistic health. I started learning more about nutrition and I started changing the way I was eating. I was also starting to be more aware and more kind to myself when it came to reducing stress. I went more out into nature, taking walks, calming down. Like I was doing things, and it improved. But it was like something kept urging me to keep seeking for more and deeper answers. And when you search and when you ask, it always comes to you, right? And in the beginning of 2020, I I bumped into a video on YouTube. It was an interview with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And as he was talking about healing, he was talking about mind over matter, he was sharing his own journey of healing. It was like something totally clicked inside of me. And it was really like as if someone was opening the Holy Grail, and I was like, this is the answer. It spoke to me so much. It spoke directly to my heart, to my soul. So I just dove into his work. I read his books. I was listening to more of the interviews, but I guess most of all, I started to go inward. So I started meditating, I started to go inward, I started to connect more with myself. What I also did was that I started to create a new identity, which is one of the things that he's teaching. I started to see myself and create an image of myself being healthy. I started speaking to myself in a different way. I would speak to myself, to my body, saying, things out loud like, I am strong, I am capable of healing, and I would start to visualize myself as being strong and healthy. And I was meditating more. I was doing these guided meditations that taught me how to move more into a coherent state, um, heart and brain coherence. And things started to shift. And I remember in the autumn of 2020, I remember like thinking that something has really changed. I feel different. I feel like I see life through a lens of more love, like more rose colored glasses. Because I used to be someone who was so focused on so called problems. Like, I was great at problem solving. I've always been great at problem solving. Engineering is a lot about learning problem solving. And also in my career, I was someone who was very good at solving problems. But also in my private life, it was like I was so focused on that. I would wake up in the morning and I would think about all the things I had to solve. And the more things I had to solve, the more problems I focused on, the more problems I had. So there was a lot of problems. But what happened here was that something inside of me shifted. And of course, this was me tapping more into my heart, into my soul, and into my higher self. But at that time, I didn't have the vocabulary or the understanding to know that. But I felt a relief, and I felt like the world got more beautiful. I started to see people from their best sides. Like I would focus on every person I was meeting or interacting with. I would appreciate them. And by appreciating them, I also felt how people were so much nicer to me. Like there was this beautiful, positive upward spiral, and it mirrored back into everything I was doing. So beautiful opportunities materialized in the workspace, people I met, projects, money coming in, my health started to really shift. Like it was so beautiful and expansive. So and this kind of it kept going. So fast forward, I mean, life always has it's been a roller coaster in so many ways. And I think for so many of us, and especially if we are on a journey of awakening and remembrance, life brings us and our higher self guides us to meet ourselves in all the different ways, to experience all the contrasts and all the extremes. And if I fast forward to 2022, so the end of 2022, actually the autumn of 2022 was when I totally stopped with all of my medications. So that was kind of when I realized that I had healed. So after 22 years of daily medication and I don't know how many rounds of antibiotics and cortisone tablets and being told that I would never heal because this was a chronic condition and that it would also be deteriorating, which it had been doing, I healed. So I did the so-called impossible. Uh, and one of the ways that that became possible was that I did a lot, I call it positive brainwashing. So I was listening to so many beautiful testimonials of people who had healed. And it gradually changed and opened up for me, realizing that if they can do it, maybe I can do it. So it shifted my perspective. So that was a huge part of this journey, this knowing. I love the way Joe Dispenza speaks about the 4-minute mile, that for such a long time, it was just said that no one could run the mile below 4 minutes, and no one did. But then the moment the first person managed to run the mile below 4 minutes, it wasn't very long until the next one and the next one. And now I don't know how many people have run the mile within below 4 minutes. And this was very similar. So learning that that it's not impossible to heal from a chronic disease, that so many people have done that, that opened up for a different belief inside of me. But by the end of 22, there were a bunch of things that happened in my life. My dad experienced a stroke. I had big contrast going on at work and in relationships, and it really threw me off guard. But I had more tools. And what I did was that I went into my imagination. So instead of being totally pulled down by the things that were happening in my so called reality, I started to spend more time in my imagination, meditating and visualizing, and basically just opening up to see where my imagination would take me. Like, how would my workspace look? What would happen? How would my relationships be? Um, how would it feel to be in a beautiful, loving relationship? How would it feel to be in, the house of my dreams? And it it really helped me to stay and to come back to a much higher frequency. And from that space, I started to really ask myself those questions, like, what do I really want in life? What am I passionate about? What would I love to do? And what I realized was that through my work and my so-called career, what had really lit me up and what had always sparked my passion was working with people. For many years, I was a manager. I loved inspiring people. I loved to see people grow and expand into their higher potentiality, have fun together at work, succeed together as a team in projects. I loved that. So I realized, like, I love people. I'm not, even though I grew this passion around supply chain and transportation and warehouses and pallet distribution and all kinds of things. I realized that maybe that wasn't my true passion, but that my true passion was people and expansion, and learning about potentiality and doing things that were so-called impossible, because we pulled through a number of so-called impossible projects, which was deeply satisfying. And from that space, I realized, also based on my own healing journey, that I wanted to support people. Because if I can do it, anyone can do it. So I said to myself, I would love to become a coach, transformational coach. And one thing led to another. And I did a coaching training program during 2023. But what also happened in 2023 was that was the first time I was experiencing channeled information. So I found Abraham Hicks on YouTube, and I started listening to Abraham Hicks, um, yeah, reels or short videos on YouTube. And wow, like that, it spoke directly to my heart, to my soul. Something clicked so much, and I loved listening to the words. I loved listening to what they were saying, taking in all of that information, and it felt so true. So true. They were the way they were speaking about that life was meant to be this beautiful downstream journey, the way that we would put all of our wishes into the vortex, and how our thoughts can sometimes spiral in a good way, or in a bad way, like that car where you haven't really pulled the handbrake and it starts rolling downhill. What I didn't understand at that point was, of course, the frequency and the energy and the way it was activating things inside of me. And I guess it really started my awakening, even if I wasn't really aware. But one thing led to another. And and I started to listen to other channelers, and there was this dream in my heart to be able to channel myself one day. And so during 2024, I started auto writing. So there was this challenge that came up in a program I attended, and there was an auto writing challenge. Well, challenge as in try to do it every day for 21 days. And my mind, of course, said, no, you can't do that. Like, no, no, won't work, won't happen. But something inside of me said, let's try. So I sat down and I tried to quiet my mind and meditate for a while. And then I just kind of put pen to paper, and I started writing, and I realized that what came out was definitely not Gabby. It was something different. And at some point, I will definitely share more about those writings. Um, and that was fascinating. And at this moment in time, I had also been to a Kundalini session. So I had, for the first time in my life, experienced how it feels when energy is moving through the body. I was experiencing my body moving, shaking, I was crying, and this opened up for something profound. So it was like my soul got more space, and it started really guiding me and leading me and pulling me, asking me to wake up. Like I started to wake up in the middle of the night, like 3, 4 in the morning. And it pulled me to listen to something, listen to different kind of like activations. And I would be lying in bed and I would be shaking. And yeah, so there was a whole journey. What I know now, what I understood now from where I am now, well, from a while back, was that there was a lot of energetic densities that my body needed to release in order for me to open up to more light. So there was a lot of emotional, energetical transmutation going on. And this was, of course, guided by my soul and by my higher self. And it guided me to different people and places and circumstances that allowed me to expand more and more. And eventually, after summer 2024 was the first time that I sat down on the floor in this room and asked my higher self to bring through guidance. And that was the first time I verbally channeled. And that was magical to me. That was magical to connect to something that was greater than me, to connect and receive insights and guidance from beautiful light beings in the universe. So from that point, that has been a big journey of expansion and of remembrance. And so this is where I want to kind of close this loop. So the reason I am here and what I'm extremely passionate about, and now I'm getting emotional, is that I believe that we are all here to live our highest potential. I believe that we are all here to experience our heaven on earth. And there is no time better than right now, because we are in magical, beautiful times. And if you have found this channel, if you have found me and this is resonating with you, it is probably because there is something that I am here to mirror to you, because we are all mirrors of each other. And the frequency and energy that I'm bringing through might trigger something inside of you. Because what I've been through is that I've been through a deep journey of remembrance. So what I'm bringing through, and what you can find on my website, is that I offer journeys or sessions that are called quantum remembrance sessions, which is basically about me connecting to your higher self and allowing whatever is most in service of you in that present moment to stream through. And it's often words of wisdom, but there are also codes to activate more of what is available inside of you, and also to support clearing But I have been on a deep journey of soul remembrance. I have been on a journey of quantum remembrance, because all of this is available to us in the field of energy and vibration. It is something that we cannot access with our human, analytical, conscious, ego minds, whatever term you prefer to use. It is not available to us through the mind, because our state of consciousness is a state of being, and that is something that shifts through the heart, through our awareness, through us connecting to our soul. And you are here to connect more to your soul, to remember more the truth of who you really are, and all the potential that lies inside of you, and the beautiful life that you can create when you come back to your true soul's frequency and your true soul's blueprints. So that is what I'm here to bring through, because what the angels and guides and all the beautiful light beings that I'm channeling. So basically, I'm channeling lots of different light beings, so I'm able to tap into them, or they can channel through me. So I'm working with angels and archangels and ascended masters and galactic beings, and I'm working with the elements and all kinds of beings. But what they have brought through to me is that ultimately, on a soul level, we are all perfect. We are all perfect, and we are born with our own unique soul frequency. And through our life, through our life's experience, we build up all of these stories and patterns and paradigms and everything that we are being taught, right? From when we are small. Because when we are born, we are absolutely limitless and boundless. We know that we are totally loved, totally worthy. But then we learn through the life journey that we are going through, we learn all kinds of restrictions, and we learn that life maybe is difficult, that I'm not worthy of this, I have to work hard, I have to do this to be worthy of that, I'm not fully worthy of being loved for who I am, or whatever it might be. And we collect all of this, and it's all being collected in our subconscious mind and also into our bodies. So when we are ready to expand, we need to release all of these old programs and patterns. And we can understand a lot of things through our mind, because we start to observe ourselves. We become our own observer. And as we do, we can see some of these limitations and programs and stories we keep telling ourselves. But all of it is also stored energetically in the body, and that's what we need to release these energetic imprints. And that is being done in the best way when we allow our soul to guide us. Our higher self, our superconscious, knows exactly what we are ready to release and when. So when we start trusting and we start to tap more into our heart and our soul's guidance, that is when this journey becomes so beautiful, and it becomes the most effortless and easy. Not to say that it's all easy, right? Because life on earth is a bit of a roller coaster. It's a ride. We need to meet our fears, our limitations. But when we realize that the so-called negative emotions, the scary emotions, they are just that. They are energy in motion. They need to be allowed to flow through us. And we stop the resistance, something happens. That's when they start to alchemize, to transmute, and to let go. And we start becoming more free, and we come closer to this beautiful soul frequency that is us, that is vibrating from a place of love, of truth, of joy, of authenticity. So that has been, yeah, quite a long story, but I really wanted to share that. And maybe there is something that resonates. Maybe there is something in my story of my journey that awakens something inside of you. On this channel, I will be sharing channeled message. I will be sharing channeled activations, visualizations. I will be sharing all kinds of things, all with the aim to support you, to remember more of who you are, to activate more of the truth of you, and to support things that no longer serve to be released. And of course, to share my reflections, what I have learned, because I am on this journey. So I am on the journey to embody 5D into this 3D. I'm on a journey to live as a new human on this earth. That is my journey. That is my intention. And it's the most exciting intention for me. And I'm learning every day. I'm learning every day because it's a journey, and we will be on this journey till the day we kind of step over on the other side. But that's also the beauty, to experience all of it, because we are here and we are allowed to experience all of it through our 5 physical human senses. So I'm also here to live life to the fullest, to love to the fullest, and I also have an intention to meet and to connect with beautiful souls like you who resonate, because we are all here to become a family of resonance, of frequency. And I am here to share more of the unity and community, because that is what I believe in. I believe that we are here to create beautifully together, that we're all mirrors of each other, and we are here to support each other and to let go of the paradigms that are teaching us to live from the ego, to live from lack, from limitation, from comparison, from judgment. No, I believe there is a whole other way of living, and it starts right here, right now. So thank you for being here with me. I feel so much love and appreciation for all of you, sending you so much love.